Thank God for the internet, because I think a lot of people are waking up because of the internet and social media.
I don't know, though. I don't know. I am not. And here it is. I sit tonight doing a podcast with you guys, and I'm still getting ready to say this. I am not convinced that the internet as we now know it resembles any kind of liberty, or is nearly as beneficial to society and culture as what it was and what it could have been. I mean, I remember the internet of the 90s, right? When it was like you had to work to get online. It wasn't just a click of the button. So you had to be dedicated. Really, not everybody and their brother was there, too.
You had to have an attention span longer than 3 seconds.
You had to want it. And the bulletin boards, Dre, you remember the news groups? Like, I was a kid.
Like, I didn't grow up on this shit.
Well, look, because you're still a little younger than us, and you missed, there was a very specific window that you missed.
I did not miss.
I think
probably had the internet before the two of you. So
no, you didn't, and you would have been like 5 to not have missed it. Right toward the beginning.
I had the internet in '92, dude.
We're talking. I did. Right when everything was still GeoCities pages, right? Yeah,
it was Fire Wrestling page. Okay.
Yeah, it was. So then you remember it was different. You'd go to a bulletin board even as a kid, and you're asking for information about something, and some PhD in Finland is giving you the answer that you want, and nobody's disrespectful of you or the fact that you were a child or right. It was a different community, and the anonymity, the level of anonymity.
Time too. People still remembered their fucking manners. It wasn't like, "Ooh, I'm behind a keyboard. I can be a fucking asshole."
I sometimes wonder though if that's because, like, today everybody and their brother has access to social media, but when we were first getting involved in the internet, only the people who were really dedicated to taking the time to get online did, right? Not everybody did. You had to work for it a little bit. And I wonder if it hasn't been diluted. I mean, we've lost anonymity.
Well, I think, okay, I think it has changed greatly. I don't know that it has changed for the better.
Right.
Okay. But I do think the fact that it has opened up to a larger amount of people, and the fact that we're able to reach a greater amount of people. I mean, what, 10 years ago, people that are now my age, people 50 plus, weren't on the internet.
Yeah, that's true.
And now they are. And you've got people like, I have a real good friend whose mother went and did not vote for Trump, but basically told her husband that she did. Okay? I think that there's a lot of different things that are happening that are going to be, because we can reach so many more people without having that huge war chest of tens of millions of dollars, that it's going to be beneficial for the Libertarian Party. Do we still need that money? Yeah. I mean, look,
sure.
Right.
You can't get people to vote for you because you meet them face to face, or you talk to them on the phone, or you talk to them on the internet face to face. The people that are watching this podcast that are in Texas or everywhere else, a small percentage of them are going to donate to my campaign. The ones that are on here that know me were already going to vote for me and support me. The few that are here that are brand new or that see this in the future are going to go, "Oh my God, I love those 4 people." Do you know what I mean? And as it grows, as the podcast grows, it's going to be a much bigger thing. I mean, I don't know that. I find it hard to believe that there are people in the Libertarian Party that don't know who Aaron is, that don't know who I am, that don't know who Mike Shipley is, who don't know who Tom Arnold are. You know, those different people, I mean, of all those people, once they research us, they're like going, oh my God, I don't agree with that person, but I mean, that's balls to the walls right there. I mean, that person is badass. That person is doing what they need to do as a libertarian to move the needle forward based on whatever they happen to be passionate about.
There are a lot of people in the party I don't agree with who I respect.
I want to step back a second to what you were talking about with the way the internet's changed. Yeah, there's some negatives to how things have changed, but in the 90s, you weren't going to get Gamergate. And I know some people
what?
Yeah, that's true.
Gamergate. The games journalism industry is dead because the internet said we're tired of your bullshit, essentially. And then they're going to go out. There were some really shitty people in that whole movement that were doing a lot of the death threats and shit like that. And yeah, that was shitty. I'm going to mute you. Stop coughing.
Like it's that easy.
So we have these movements that are only happening because of the internet. You could say that the internet started the Tea Party. The internet started Occupy Wall Street. The internet is responsible for a lot of these big movements. I mean, the fucking Arab Spring changed a chunk of the world. So Hong Kong is happening because of the internet. These are, I think the internet is the most powerful force for liberty, and it's happening in spite of all the things that the Facebooks and the corporations and their government cronies. It's happening in spite of those things, but it is still the driving force for the liberty movement, in my opinion.
That were happening before the internet too, though. It's not exclusive to the internet. Clearly, there are other ways to achieve that same goal. Even
right,
if
but
the
it's
internet
happening
didn't exist.
rapid fire.
It's happening.
So, but I don't think that what is happening right now in Hong Kong could have happened before the internet and smartphones with private encrypted apps that these people could network together in a communist state to figure this all out and come together and do this whole thing that they're doing right now.
I think it could have happened, okay, but not at the scale.
Yeah, not at the scale
that it's happening.
It's about scale and frequency, because there have been earth-shattering movements in history, obviously, but we're having one every couple of years, every couple of months. Black Lives Matter, that kind of stuff. It's
okay. That's right. I understand that, but if based on the amount of views that some libertarian pages have gotten, some 10,000, some millions, based on the fact that we've had Black Lives Matter, Occupy Wall Street, Arab Spring, what's going on in Hong Kong, all those different things, why has the Libertarian Party not capitalized on that? What is keeping us from capitalizing on that? And that's the real question we should be asking, is why isn't it something that great movement, why isn't that movement happening within the Libertarian Party, or why isn't the Libertarian Party growing at leaps and bounds based on the fact that these other things can start in a year, and the Libertarian Party has been around since 1971.
The Libertarian Party, and this is, I'm going to say this is definitely true of my state and national, they're afraid to tackle social media the way that we do here on our page and our show and everything. We say this is who we are. We're not going to apologize for it. And we get people all the time that come in and be like, sources for your meme. We're like, no, fuck off. We don't do sources. This is the internet, motherfucker. What are you doing here? But libertarians are afraid. And I see this all the time. It's like, well, we want to be taken seriously. The current front runner is a guy that gropes children and sniffs their hair, and the other one grabbed women by the pussy. If that's serious, I don't fucking want it. Right? Give me the dude with the boot or the big yellow hat, and let's fucking roll with this shit.
Give me a fucking radical LP member any day. Thank you. And
milk toast LP member over all that shit.
Yeah.
Quite honestly.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I think that's true. I think that we need to have I don't want to say extreme, but I think we need to have bold.
Bold, definitely.
And bold is very important, that those are libertarian candidates that are speaking the truth and speaking to liberty.
Yep.
And other people need to be the ones that come in and say, you're an asshat or whatever to those individual people. That never needs to come. I know that sounds like I'm being a total, you know what, but that never needs to come from the candidate. The candidate needs to be a little bit above that.
Yeah.
Because those libertarians that are talking about how, well, Kerry's badass and he said this and he said that and that was really cool. Those people are going to vote for Kerry anyway, or they're going to support Kerry anyway. How do we get that ball rolling? That is that 1 million+ votes that we need in Texas. You can be the individual one that makes 1 million votes in Texas that puts us in double digits as a percentage. And that would speak volumes to the Democrats and the Republicans. That would speak volumes to the LP in general, is how do we get 1 million votes in Texas for a senator candidate? Is it because he spoke? I mean, how do we do that?
I don't know that it's that the LP is afraid, though. I mean, I think there's certainly an aspect of that. But I also wonder how much of it is like lack of institutional knowledge, but we just don't know how.
I mean, we do it here all the time, and I'm constantly saying, like, so here's the deal. We only have a couple minutes, but I want to hit this. We talk about, we've talked about Nebraska politics, internal party shit here before. If the Libertarian Party of Nebraska would get a certain couple of people out of the fucking way and just let Nathan run their social media, they would balloon in a hurry.
Nathan's amazing at social media.
Nathan might be better than me, and I hate to admit that because we've patched things up and we're becoming friends again, I think, but there's still a rivalry there, and it's a friendly rivalry now. But
well, you guys had a rivalry before you had beef.
Yeah, I mean, because we're both good at this, so it makes me want, I want to beat him. I want him to be super successful, but I still want to beat him. So and I'm sure he feels the same way.
So let me just say, just in case, before we run out of time, I want to thank y'all a whole lot for having me on. I've had a really great time. I like it when I'm on things that we can be candid and speak the truth, and nobody is vilified for what they say. Mm-hmm. And we talk to it and we work through it. And I think that is important. And I think the LP and the Liberty Movement needs more of that, where everybody's voice is valid. Everybody has a spot at the table. And, but we're also going to be that big family that tells you it's not acceptable to treat my other siblings that way. And you will treat them with respect, and you will treat them with the love that you do, because we are all working towards liberty today. And if that means that's just, and we should commit to that. We should commit to that I might not like Joshua Smith. I might not like Nick Sarwark. I might not like Susie Jones, whoever's running for chair. But I need to support that person in the fact that, hey, you're fighting the good fight right now. Now, you need to learn to listen, and you need to learn that you are the face of the party, and you are not all powerful, and that my voice to you telling you that I think you're doing something wrong is valid, and that you need to listen to me because we are all in this together. And you don't just push me away just because you don't like what I'm telling you.
And I think sometimes the infighting looks worse than it is. It looks
our infighting is nothing.
I mean, I think it looks worse than it is, especially to newcomers or people who are on the fringes. Look, I grew up in a house with a whole bunch of siblings, and I promise you, infighting happens in families.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, there's no one in our party who's rioting in the streets and telling other members of our party that they get the bullet too. That's happening in the Democrat Party. Mm-hmm.
Well,
Trump is being primaried. He's not going to lose, but he's being primaried, and that shit doesn't happen in a functional party.
Look, the best thing that's happening to the Libertarian Party right now is the fact that the Democrats and the Republicans are fracturing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
especially the Democrats, are going to where there are the old standby Democrats and the more progressive, more socialist Democrats.
Liberals
And-
don't belong in that party anymore.
No.
And
Nope.
some of those, I'm not saying that we got to reach out, but some of those blue dog Democrats that are about physical responsibility within the way we spend our money, and they're also for freedom of you to do as you choose.
Yeah, they're classical liberals.
They're classic liberals. They belong in the Libertarian Party, and some people in our party are going to have issues with that, and they're going to have to get over that because we've accepted those that constantly talk in regards to their passionate one issue, and that's all they put forth. We have got to become the party of compassion again, like we were 50 years ago when we started. We have to become the party that says we believe that those that are coming to this country are coming here to make this a better place, and stop vilifying those people just because of the color of their skin or whatever religion they happen to practice at that moment.
Yeah, we got to get better at talking about issues other than the Second Amendment and pot.
And we're going to get asked that. We're going to get asked those anyway. You don't have to bring them up. Whoever talks to you on any podcast or any paper or any newspaper, they're going to go, well, the Libertarian Party is all about pot, and I just want to know how you. So you're going to get asked anyway. Why not bring up something else that you can actually put a policy forward? And we have to do more than taxation is theft.
Mm-hmm.
We have to have specific policies. I know. I'm sorry. I just keep talking. I'll shut up.
I'm sorry to cut in because this is great, but my computer's going to struggle with this length right now. It can't take the whole thing. So
well, if you do have to edit it,
back on.
It's too big.
Anytime y'all want me, I'll be on. And if it's a really problem, you can always just cut anytime you're talking out when you edit.
Okay.
And I think the rest of us will be okay with that.
I think if I just do just the tip, we'll be fine. So I don't know if you. So I was down in Texas for the convention. What was it? 18, whatever.
It's Houston, yeah.
When Tippett was running, and I tried really hard to get him to use hashtag just the Tippets in that campaign, and he wouldn't do it.
He wouldn't do it.
So, I have to bring this up anytime we have someone from Texas on because it hurts my soul because that would have been great.
Look, we have some really big personalities in the state of Texas, and not that they don't have them everywhere else, right?
Everything.
But we have, especially me, sweetheart. Anyway, we have really big personalities, and we have people that are very passionate about a lot of different issues in Texas. And many of those people are in leadership positions in our party. And it makes it sometimes a little bit difficult to deal. I've been on the Texas Executive Committee 2 different terms. And this is my 3rd time to be the platform chair for the state of Texas. And if you looked at our platform, how it's changed from 2016 from 2014 through 2016, 2018, how it's going to change in 2020. We didn't have a reproduction rights plank in the state of Texas, and then now we have one. I don't know whether that's a good thing or not. I think it's good that I think we have to learn as libertarians that we have to stop running scared from some of the issues that are uncomfortable and speak to them and speak truth to them, and know that even if there are people on either side, that we have to embrace some of that from a liberty standpoint and from a financial standpoint and from a scientific standpoint, because we often don't do that. We often play on our feelings.
Right. That's a very good point. That's very true.
I'm not pro. I would never terminate a pregnancy myself. I would be. I've known several women that have talked to me when they've been discussing that and when they've been contemplating that, and several of them proceeded. Several of them did not. But I felt very fortunate and very grateful that they respected me enough to ask my opinion and to ask what I thought and for me to be honest with them and how I felt about it. But ultimately, it was still their decision. It was them who had to live with those consequences. And me being who I am, and that doesn't mean I'm better than anybody else. I don't judge them because of that. They're still my friend. I still love them, and I don't judge them. I don't condemn them, and I don't vilify them in public.
Well,
we have to stop vilifying fellow libertarians in public, and we have to learn that praising each other and building each other up is our friend, because we don't have the luxury of being a major party where we can tear each other down every 2 to 4 years and still have the same base and still have the same money base.
I couldn't agree more. And that's kind of what I was getting at earlier when I said, let's keep that shit in house. If you have criticism, fine. Let's do that behind closed doors, okay?
I think the great thing that I'm seeing, at least from the so-called radical candidates for our presidential nomination, is they're like, I was in a meeting tonight with the campaign that I'm working on. Everyone knows I work for Dan Berman's campaign.
Woo!
I'm sorry.
Oh, it's me. Come on, Dan's cool.
I love Dan to death, and me and Dan have had several conversations, and I've told Dan I will not be his vice presidential candidate. I've told several of them that. Because, I had 6 or 7 people ask me from across the country to run for president because they didn't like any of the people running. Mm-hmm. And I said no, because I know some of those people and I'm friends with those people, and I don't want it to get ugly. And then I was asked about being VP, and I said, do you really think that any of them can compete with my personality and how great I would overshadow them? Even Vermin Supreme, I would overshadow Vermin Supreme.
VP does need to be a little smaller in size, personality-wise. So yeah.
Anyway,
I heard it was going to be Aaron anyway. That's what I heard.
No.
So I think all of the candidates won. They just agreed to share John as their vice presidential candidate.
There you go.
That's sad. That's kind of sad, and that's nothing against John, but I love our process.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's because it's separate. Everyone just like Dan's not running with a VP because the party will pick one, so he's just going to do his thing.
Well, that's the thing. I think, especially people who are new to the party, they don't understand that. They're like, "Who's the ticket?" Well, we haven't decided yet, right? We vote on these individuals separately. And I register as libertarian, but then I can't vote in a primary. No, instead you can become a super delegate, and that same vote you would have cast in the primary, it really counts.
Yeah.
So anyway, what I was trying to say was, I think it's really cool that all of it, at least the radical candidates, are taking a pledge not to go after each other.
Yeah.
And like we're I don't want to say this from a strategic standpoint. We are making moves in such a way that whoever gets the nomination, if it's a radical, they come out clean because they haven't been beaten up by the other radicals.
Awesome.
I think that's not even like, we didn't sit down and have a meeting about it.
No.
Like all the campaigns got together and talked. It's like these are people that are friends, or at least on good terms with each other. They have different visions of what's going to work, and we're just testing it out in the free market to see, how the fuck is it going to fly?
Well, the biggest thing that needs to happen, I don't care who the nominee is, really. Okay, as long as thank God Bill Weld is gone.
Thanks.
I'm just going to say that. Other than that, I can work with any of those guys. Okay. I'm going to have some major differences with quite a few of them because I'm going to tell them that they're wrong when I know they're wrong. And that doesn't mean I'm right. That just means I'm right. So I'm going to say, look, guys, I haven't decided who I'm voting for, even if I am a delegate. I have told, I want us to have, and I hate to say respectability politics, But I want us to have somebody that, when they look at our presidential candidate, they actually see somebody that could hold that office. And so they feel comfortable voting for that person. And that doesn't mean that wearing a big yellow hat or wearing a boot on your head does not get you attention.
I think there's a reason we're moving away from that in our campaign.
But you have to, look, I love Daniel to death, but he's got to be more than just taxation is theft.
I mean,
that's
Kerry,
not enough.
I get it. However, you're saying that our candidates need to be somebody that people can envision holding the office of Trump, and we're talking about the office of president, and we're talking about the same voters who elected Trump. So clearly, it's a low bar.
Yeah, I agree that it's a low bar, but I think what I mean by that are those individuals that have voter apathy, that are choosing not to vote, that have moved away from. We have so many people that say my vote doesn't matter anyway. They're going to pick whoever they want. We have so many people that are like going, well, if I vote third party, then this person or that person wins. And
so you're saying it's more important that we give somebody to vote for instead of just being the guy they choose when they're voting against someone else.
That is very much true. I want it to be that we are not the lesser of three evils. We're the liberty person in the room that they're going to vote for, that we're so far above that bar that they're like, why the hell would I vote for anybody else? But if they look at that and they're saying, okay, well, and I don't have anything against any of the candidates that are running, right? But let's say Arvin, for example. If they look at Arvin's past, is that going to be held against him? Are they going to vilify him because of things that he said in the past, even if he's moved past them? Are they going to vilify Kokesh because of the his certain relationships and how he treats women, even if it's just perceived that he does that and none of it's true? How are they going to vilify Vermin when he has a boot on his head? Are they ever going to take him seriously, even if everything he's saying is perfect and wonderful and great? How are they going to look at any of those candidates and see the fact that, is that somebody that I could give my vote to, that somebody that I would trust to represent this country, somebody that is going to also be good for the down ballot candidates, because they're not going to look at it and go, well, Kerry, the guy that you got running for president is blah, 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 blah. Really? How serious can you be? Mm-hmm. And the other thing is, how can we convince them, if they do have that apathy for not wanting to vote, or they do feel like they're throwing their vote away, how can we change their mind? And if we have to use, what are we being given to change their mind? Not just from the presidency, but all the way down locally. If Vermin Supreme was running for a local spot, would it be what he is saying, and would he be heard, and would he get elected?
Yeah, I don't know. Kerry, give us your website. Where do people need to go to donate and support your campaign? Because I know Zach's computer is getting ready to crash.
This is a two-parter. The video's going up in two parts. So.
Okay, so it's McKennon2020.com.
And it is in the comments, you guys.
It is in the comments. Yeah. Look, I think that there is something to be said with the fact that we have infighting in the party. I think there's something to be said that we have really a huge differential amount of candidates, because it shows how inclusive we really are. It shows how wonderful the Libertarian Party is as a whole, right? And I think that's very important, because I think there's people out there that are going and are going to say, God, I really identify with being ex-military and being so anti-government. And if that place is welcoming Adam Kokesh, they will welcome me. Mm-hmm. I'm a little bit kooky, and I'm not exactly somebody that, some people might think I was crazy. So, A guy with his boot on his head, if he's accepted, I'll be accepted.
Mm-hmm.
A guy wearing a big yellow hat and saying the same line over and over and over again. You know, I kind of beat a dead horse. You know, maybe I'll be accepted. I mean, look at the guy working on his campaign. I mean, if he'll accept that ugly son of a bitch, he'll accept me. Right? So those are the kind of things. I knew I'd get Aaron. See, did you see that? So
I miss you so much.
I miss you too, sweetheart. The thing is I don't think that we, I don't want to say radical, but I don't think we're bold enough. And then when we are bold, we tend to vilify the people that are bold.
I think it's all about being bold while also not jumping the shark, and that is a fine line to walk sometimes.
Well, I think too, sometimes I wonder if we're not picking the wrong topics too. You know, like I said, we like to talk. Our candidates like to talk about the Second Amendment. Well, they like to talk about pot. The left and the right, whether we like it or not, are already dominating those conversations. Even if what they're saying is different from what we're saying, nobody's hearing us because they're drowning us out. They're already dominating those conversations.
We need to talk
Nobody's
about
talking about anti-war. Nobody's talking about right to death with dignity. Nobody's talking about prostitution. These are the things we really need to be digging in on the things that places where our voices can be heard because the old parties aren't already dominating the conversation.
We need to be the party that's talking about this unholy alliance between the police and Amazon with these
all day
security cameras on your house. Like, that's fucking crazy.
I will tell you that when we talk about police, because I've talked to a lot of police, I've talked to a few police unions. I've even talked to teachers unions. I mean, when I was running for lieutenant governor, I went and spoke at 3 different teachers unions meetings, and no other libertarians were going or even invited. Okay. Now that doesn't speak to libertarians in general, but that speaks to my staff and the way that we reach out to people and the way that we talk to people, and that we're willing to listen even when it's something that they told us, well, you are anti-public education. And I said, we're not anti-public education. We're pro-education choice, period. That's the way that works. You're part of that choice. We just may not agree that we need to be the person funding it.
We're not fans of single pay or anything.
So, when I talked to the police, I said, look, your job is to de-escalate situations. And if you tell me,
we're taught in the military in the middle of a war zone,
right?
And I said, if you tell me that you can't do that, then there's only one of 2 things. It's either a training issue or it's a personnel issue. And I said, if it's a personnel issue, then that person doesn't need to be in that job, period. If it's a training issue, then you need to have more training. And they go, well, Kerry, we get all this training. I go, well, you're not getting enough. Because if you were getting enough, it would not be happening with the frequency that it does. I talked to them about limited liability insurance. And the fact that if they had limited liability insurance, which means they did something wrong and people went to sue them, they would have to sue that individual and not the city or the county. They would have to sue the individual. And if their insurance went up at some point, they're going to, as a cop, if you keep messing up, you're going to be priced out of insurance. So you're not going to be in that job.
Right. You're going to be priced out of work.
And your partner is going to say, wait a second, I don't want to be partners with Susie because Susie's going to make my insurance go up, and I can't afford that. Susie will be moved to a desk job. If you can't police yourself, you have no business policing the public. And that should be a tagline or something. That should be just a comment right there for the campaign. If you can't police yourself, you have no business policing the public, right? That's a good one.
Absolutely. I love it.
And the next thing is the fact that, when we look at that, if somebody goes into the wrong apartment and kills somebody, or somebody goes to a welfare call, which is supposed to be that person needs your help, not for you to shoot and kill them.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
It really, somebody said, they thought we should change and have actual medical personnel coming instead of the cops. I don't know that that's such a bad idea. But I think that if the cops show up, that the cops have to be there to de-escalate the situation, worry about the actual welfare of that person, because that's what they were called for.
Right.
And then if you do something wrong, own up to it. I screwed up.
So question is, I'm ignorant to a lot of different things. I know that doctors, lawyers, real estate agents, people who have to have state licenses have to have E&O insurance. Do police have to have that kind of thing or no? Is it all on the department and the city and the
Even in a state that is a right to work state like Texas, there are still police unions.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of that stuff goes through the union, and it depends on usually their insurance, because most of the cops that I talked to said, well, that's great for us to have that insurance, but we're not paying for it. They would want the public to pay for the insurance as well.
No.
And here's the thing. I understand that. I get that. That's awesome. But it also becomes a little bit of that internal affairs. Where,
well, I mean, Dre's right. Look, if doctors have to carry their own, and they also, yeah,
carry it for fuck's sake.
nurses, CNAs, yeah. I mean, the teachers.
I don't think it's a far stretch to ask police to actually have a limited liability insurance or some type of insurance.
A bondsman would have to.
A bondsman does.
We asked bondsmen to have them. We asked bounty hunters to have them. Why would we not ask police? Private detectives? I understand it's a cost. I understand that cops put their life on the line every single time that they go out. I get that. I understand that it's a hard fucking job, because it is. Mm-hmm. Right? Sure. It's a hard job because no matter what you do, you're going to be the bad guy. I get that.
Yeah,
but you're choosing that job. You just chose that job knowing that all that is there. So if you chose that job, you've got to be able to move past the point. You've got to be the person that de-escalates the situation. You've got to be the person that stands up with your union and say, we're not getting the training that we need to deal with the GSM community, and especially transgenders in general. We don't have the training to deal with the mental health. Mm-hmm. We don't have the training to deal with
drugs addiction,
the autistic communities. When you shoot somebody that's trying to help somebody that's autistic because they're playing with a truck and they're an adult, and you shoot them in the middle of the street, your training has failed. I don't care who you are.
Absolutely.
So that's
I get that. Look, I get it's a crazy, hard, dangerous job, but so is coal mining, and so is bull riding, and those individuals aren't killing people.
Right.
Yep.
Those individuals are asked to perform at a higher standard, at a higher level of stress at sometimes than police officers, and use their problem solving and other skills as any other human is, as the public is. The public is told, when the police pull a gun on you, you better remain calm or you might get shot. Well, you know what? When a police officer pulls a gun on you in your own home and you don't remain calm, I don't know, that's kind of a physical reaction that you don't have. We've
not been trained for that.
Yeah, I wasn't trained for that. That's
especially
weird.
If they don't announce themselves as a cop, and if they are doing no-knock warrants. You're assuming you're being invaded by somebody.
I'm telling you, I feel bad for somebody who tries to serve a no-knock raid at my house. Because my door gets kicked in, you ain't gonna have time to do anything.
Now, while we're talking about this is not a federal issue.
No.
Okay? This is a city by city, county by county issue, and those cities and counties are the ones, those individuals setting in county commissioners, those county chiefs, those city officers, those city administrators, the sheriffs. Those are the ones that need to be held accountable for this not happening, and for there not being better training, and there not being insurance. That's where that needs to happen. Because if you think it's going to come from the federal government and you want it to come from the federal government, you have really just made this a police state for sure.
Oh, I definitely don't want it to come from the federal government. I want it to be a locality thing that happens across the nation for sure, but I want it to be definitely locally done. I
mean, when a socialist that's running in the Democratic Party tells a group of black students that they need to just remain calm and put their hands up and be respectful, knowing what has happened. That's what Bernie Sanders did this week.
Wow, I missed that one.
And I'm paraphrasing. That's a huge issue. And I think that, look, we as a party, we do not embrace the black community. We do not embrace the Hispanic community. We barely embrace the GSM community, and that's only because of outright. It's not because somebody that is not
forced to.
We do not embrace the Asian community in this country at all. We do not
target them.
Yeah, there's. I've reached out to several different Asian communities.
I mean, like as a party,
but as a party,
not really.
Forgotten.
Look, it's about 1%.
Native Americans too.
Native Americans, we don't reach out. All of those are different places that we could really make up some ground game if we chose to, especially within the Native community in the state of Oklahoma. If we reached out to the Native American sovereign nations in Oklahoma, there could be some really changing of the guard statewide legislature in the state of Oklahoma. Now, that's difficult. I get that it costs money. I guess that it's a ground game, but Texas doesn't have don't have sovereign nations, so it's a little bit more difficult for us. We don't reach out to the atheist community. We don't reach out to the pagan community. We really don't reach out to the Jewish community, because there's many in our party that are anti-Semites. Mm-hmm. I won't name names. We have a tendency to we reach out as a whole in a Christian format, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that because I happen to be one, but I filled out the form for the atheist here in Texas to try to get their support, because that's maybe 0.1% of the voting population. And those 1/10, it all adds up.
Here in Nebraska, there is, a libertarian atheist page that's been, I joined it a couple years ago. I'm an atheist. And since I joined, it's probably quadrupled, I want to say. And I have no idea what those numbers are, but I know that it has exponentially grown. I know the person who runs it, Heather, a girl we used to work with, her Rose DeTit. And
I think one of the cool things about those pages and the different caucus groups, right, is that we all unite on our philosophy and on our principles, at least our base principles, right? But we all have these other things that are different for us. And data tells us most people are single issue voters, right?
Right.
Most of those single issue voters choose the issue that personally impacts them. So if we can connect with them on that issue, just like we do with ourselves on these issues in these caucuses, and then each caucus, look, that's how tribalism works. If I don't recognize you as part of my tribe, I don't want to hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Right. But if we line up ideologically, or because we're both members of the GSM community and we met at Pride, or we met at the range because Second Amendment is our thing, right? If we line up on those things, our caucuses, our affinity groups, then the door is open now to have these conversations.
Well, and the whole 80-20 thing, that's a real thing. And we have to embrace that. That doesn't necessarily mean that if you're 60-40, Bill Weld, that I'm going to be all happy.
Well,
right?
And I think the 20% matters. I think it does.
It depends on with you personally what that 20% is.
Right.
If you are a pro-choice person or you're a pro-life person, and that person is in that 20%, it is a deal breaker for most people.
Yep.
Now, when I talked about the fact that we have a huge Christian base in the Libertarian Party, just because we have that we can't vilify those people.
Right.
No.
We do have a tendency to ignore those other groups and not reach out to them. But then when somebody that speaks up and they're talking about their faith and they happen to be in that Christian coalition, we have a tendency to vilify them and we vilify them over the abortion issue, and we vilify them over the GSM issue. We vilify them over other issues as well. And we have to meet them with the 80-20 in that same spectrum if we expect them to meet us. Sometimes we have a very bad habit in this party of, well, I'm not going to accept you because of this, this, and this, but you have to accept me.
I mean, look, if you're a pro-war libertarian, I'm going to question your street cred. I am.
Well, you have to.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, this is what I'm saying. The 20% matters. If you tell me I am all about the LP and I want nothing more than to see its success, but then I check your Twitter from last month and you're posting all kinds of shit in support of red flag laws, I'm going to have a hard time believing that you're all about the LP. I just am.
Well, I understand that, and I think we have to take everybody with a grain of salt, but I'm also going to go, hey, Susie, I want you to explain to me why you think your support of that red flag law or your support of war or your support of this is libertarian. How is that individual liberty for all? And you explain it to you. You make me understand it. I'm not going to go on and go, this fucking bitch thinks she libertarian. She ain't no libertarian. You know what I mean?
I love it.
Right.
That's where we have to stop. We have to give them a chance to correct and learn through education. Now, if there's somebody that is still doing the same crap over and over and over again, I'm going to assume that you're unwilling to learn or you're unable to learn. And you don't care about individual liberty for all. And so therefore, I have to question, why are you in this party? But I have to go through those steps. I'm not going to go out and vilify a donor at all. If you don't want to donate to my campaign, I ain't going to tell it all over the world that you ain't going to donate to my campaign. But also at the same time, I'm not going to take the bait of somebody telling me, outing someone that they aren't saying who it is, didn't donate to their campaign.
Yeah, you're not going to jump on and name yourself.
And first of all, I'm going to actually research the different people and find out if it's a good fit to put them together.
I mean, yeah, look, if I'm a donor and I've got some money to donate and a candidate that I know I have philosophical differences with, or I already know I'm not going to support, reaches out and wants to have a call, I'm certainly not going to waste my time. And I'm also going to not waste that candidate's time. I'm not going to be like, oh, yeah, let's have that call so I can tell you I'm not going to donate to you. We're not going to do that. I'm just going to say, you know what, I think at this time, I'm not going to choose to make a donation. Thanks for reaching out. I'm going to leave it at that.
And that person should say, thank you so much for at least listening to me. Maybe in the future we can get together.
Yeah.
But that's called respect.
It, but when we run into each other at the convention, let's go have a drink. That's how you handle this.
Yeah. And I'm not going to call you out, and I'm not going to.
Now, sometimes, like, Kerry, look, I had an issue with a candidate a year or two back, did reach out to the candidate, did have the conversation, have the candidate going, yeah, I get it. Okay, yeah, let's do that. I'll do that. Yeah, I won't. I'll fix this. And 2 or 3 weeks later, they still hadn't done it. At that point, yeah, I made a post without a name saying, hey, it's really sad to see a candidate doing the following things. Kind of is heartbreaking.
Well, look, I know there was a lot of issues with things that happened out of Philadelphia and a donor and that person using language that they should not be using in this day and age. And I got calls about it because I'm the chair of Frickin' Outright.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, look, I'm not commenting. That is a committee that I am not, I do not make unilateral decisions for outright, just like you don't for LP Texas or LP National.
Wherever.
I said, but here's the thing. I said, someone needs to actually have a conversation with that person, and it needs to be somebody that is not going to be screaming and yelling, is not going to get emotional, and needs to have the conversation with that person and say, look, I know that's how you talk on the street. I know that's how you talk with your friends. You know good and well that it's disrespectful. You're intelligent enough to know that it's disrespectful. You're intelligent to know enough that it is a slur. And you need to stop using it. If you want to be a serious candidate and you want the support of this community, if you don't want the support of the GSM community, then fine. But do not expect the GSM community, if they have that conversation with you and you continue to do that, not to call your ass out on it, because we're going to.
Right.
That's the way adults work.
That's the thing. Like, you have the conversation, you try and reach a level of agreement or compromise or at least mutual understanding. But then patterns of behavior count. So if somebody continues to behave in a way that's contrary to principle or belief, or just living your life and letting other people live theirs, you have to question that.
Well, I can just say, even if I thought, a certain word that was a derogatory word or a slur, and I said it in a text or a tweet to my friends, that person, that individual person, would have come unglued on me if I had used a certain word. But it's okay for them to use a certain word, and that doesn't play.
I think you're right, though. It's about having the civil conversation, and it's about taking a moment to go, look, and it's about recognizing that other people's culture is not yours. There's
right.
some crossover, right? It's about recognizing that there are generational and demographic different issues that pop up. So let's recognize that and acknowledge it. And then, like, I think it's okay to be like, hey, that's me you're talking about, right? And I thought we were cool. And
and you realize that hurts me.
Yeah.
And you either care that it hurts me or you don't. But now that you've been aware that it hurts me, if you continue to do it, then I'm going to assume that you don't respect me and we are not friends anymore.
Sure.
But I mean, I get it. I understand it. I understand that there are cultural differences. I understand that there are, for some people, if you apologize for something that you did, that you're seen as weak. Mm-hmm. And with the people, with your other friends, you're seen like you're weak on the street, and you have a certain base in what you're doing.
Are they 15?
Are they 15? No, they're not. But the case is
I've been listening, and I'm not trying to be an asshole. I am an asshole.
No, I know. I just think that I think that we missed a great opportunity in that area of the fact that we could have, as a party, really reached out to the urban communities and grown in those communities instead of making it about money, about privilege, about race, and about homosexual slurs. And had we worked through that and it not been something that was just in your face, and we have a really bad habit of, oh my God, I just got through researching Susie Jones and you're not going to believe what she did 40 years ago. Look at this tweet that she did 5 years ago. I mean,
as if people don't grow and change and evolve.
First of all, there's a lot of people in this party that weren't in the party 5 years ago. And so we really have to make sure that we, while we're looking at people's past and we're reminding them of that and we're looking at how they grow, we have to look at how they grow and we have to accept their growth. And we also have to accept apologies and we have to move forward. But if we're constantly vilifying them for something they did 4 or 5 years ago after they've already apologized, then how much better are we than them?
Well, I think if it's something they did 4 or 5 years ago, we see this all the time, right? Somebody announces they're running for a position, either statewide, national, inter-party, whatever. Somebody else, typically somebody on the opposition or somebody who sees themselves as philosophical opposition, they start digging through all their social media and they come up with a series of tweets from 10 years ago or 8 years ago or whatever. And they're showing these, all of this usually before somebody joined the party, before somebody got involved in the movement, before somebody started to grow. Look, I have probably
when they were still an alcoholic.
Right before. Yeah, there's always something. Look, bring us recent stuff if you want us to take it seriously too, because people grow and change with every interaction.
Does this happen at a party?
It always happens every year or two, sometimes 2-3 times a cycle.
I'll let Aaron fill you in. Guys, I have to be out of this room because we're in a room that we got so that we can have really great quality for y'all. Even though we're going to have... we got to go because we got to be out of here by 9:45. I love you guys.
McKennon for Senate.com.
It's McKennon2020.com. McKennon2020. We're about $2,000 away from the goal of the filing fee. Every little bit helps. Do not send alcohol or weed because that will not move us forward, even though it probably would be greatly appreciated by certain people. I look forward to seeing y'all in Austin.
Yeah.
Know that you're fighting the good fight. Know that I appreciate it. Know that it means the world to me that y'all are out there doing what you do, and keep up the good work. And I'm glad that you do your plea for help before you start talking about stuff, because I think that is good.
I don't ever want to be that person that stops the middle of a podcast like, hey, give us money.
Right. I know you're in the middle of something and we had you on to talk about all these things, but hey, help us out.
Yeah. And now for a word from our non-existent sponsor.
All right.
It could be you.
Thank you very much for coming on. Rip my computer. We'll see y'all Thursday. Who do we have Thursday? Did we reschedule Emily for Thursday?
Oh gosh, I can try and pull up the calendar.
I don't think we have a Thursday guest.
I don't think we do either, but I can look.
Oh, it's Halloween. Yeah, that ain't happening.
Yeah.
We're up.
Why?
Okay.
Take Halloween off.
And remember, next week, I'm still trying to pull this together. We're going to try to do our election night special. 3 hours of, go. This is going to suck. But come join us. It's going to be great. Thank you for coming on tonight, Kerry. And we'll see you all next Tuesday. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.